I'd like to start with the roll call. John Bruno is here, Ian McKenzie, Marchie Booney, Matt Shoemaker. Nula, is she on the video conference? Yes. Welcome,
Yes, I am.
Nula.
Thank
Hi,
you. Good
Nula.
afternoon.
Yeah. We have acting Chief Duguay, just talking off. Chief Stevenson, Angela Davies is here, Sarah Miles is here, Lincoln Loudon is here, Tom Gervais is here, our ministry representative. Derek is here. And missing, and Lisa is here as the board administrator. I don't think I missed anybody, please. Good. Okay, number 3, territorial acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in the Romiston Huron Treaty territory and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Shinnebec, specifically the Garden River and the Batchewana First Nations, as well as the Métis people. Just a couple of things. We won't be going into closed until we are finished the open. So we're going to disregard number 4 and number 5 and then move on. Before I move on, I just have a small little address that I'd like to read. Thank you everyone for being here today. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to address the board and all those in attendance regarding the recent personnel changes within the service. As announced on Sunday, former Chief of Police, U. Stevenson, officially resigned, effective March 23rd, 2025. As chair of the board, I want to assure you that the Sault Police is well positioned to move forward during this transition. Deputy Chief Brent Duguay has been appointed interim acting chief and will lead the organization through the period of change. The board will determine the succession plan and outline the hiring process in the coming weeks. I now ask interim acting chief Duguay to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to say it's an honor to be serving the police service in this role during this transition period. I'm confident with the senior leadership team we already have in place that we'll be able to continue to lead the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service with stability and purpose as we adjust to the day-to-day operations under the changes that have occurred. Well, thank you all very much for your confidence. Much appreciated.
The board will not be provided further public comments on the topic. Anyone with further questions for the board is urged to contact the board administrator, Lisa Hodgson. Anyone with further questions for the interim acting chief Duguay is urged to contact Sault Police Manager, Corporate Communications, Lincoln Loudon. Thank you. Okay, we're going to skip number 4 and 5 and go directly to number 6. Please, any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, move on. Questions and information arising out of the minutes and not otherwise on the agenda? Any? Take a few minutes. Seeing none, any questions or comments? Seeing none? Move on to number 8, adoption of minutes of March 3rd, 2025. I need a mover. Ian, a seconder, please. Marchie, resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved. All in favor? Approved. Motion to accept the agenda.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. On this item, I believe we were going to add or hope to add, I'm hoping to add a matter on the agenda with respect to striking a subcommittee to search for, to initiate a search for chief of police.
Yes, that will briefly be discussed, and then we will discuss it in our next meeting as well with regard to the selection committee, but certainly we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I think
The conversation will take place.
the personnel discussions happen in closed, I understand, but the striking of the committee, I believe.
Yeah.
Is an
No
open
problem.
session matter that.
We can add that. Lisa, where would we add that to new business?
You can add that to new business.
Right. And. Okay, and. Do we need to add anything else before we do that? Lisa?
Yes, you were going to add to item number 5. We were going to add labor relations to that piece.
Right. Please add that to the board, yes, labor relations. That's number 5. Financial, legal matters and labor relations. Okay, having said those, can I have a mover to accept the agenda?
I'll move to accept
Mr.
the
Chair?
agenda and the additions.
Mr. Chair, it's Nuala. I also have a comment with regard to the additions, please.
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't give you an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So I don't know if we need to actually formally add this as a new item, but I think, given the amount of service that Hugh has provided to the community, he should have a formidable farewell. And I'm just wondering if we're going to be hosting a dinner or if there's a gift generally that's given. Just because it came up suddenly, I don't think in any means should dull our enthusiasm for the work that he has done and going forward.
Totally agree with you, and I certainly would like to add that, and I don't know if we can add it now and then do it a little bit more formal at another meeting, or I don't know where that would fit right now, but certainly I do echo your sentiments and certainly do want to do that. Just trying to find the right appropriate time would be when would you suggest that we do it today, Nuala? And I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think-
I think Ian mentioned at the last meeting that he served under 3, I think, chiefs. So it can't be new ground for Ian. And maybe I'm sure there's a protocol in place, but I just think it shouldn't go unnoted, definitely. And I think generally, given people's schedules and so forth, and particularly given what the future looks like for Hugh, it would be important, I think, to get it in place sooner rather than later.
I think we can add an item where we go around the table and just, all of us give us, your thoughts, and then we can do something a little bit more formal at another time. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, discussion item. Okay, good. All in favor of that? And we'll add that to the agenda as well. So I need a mover, Ian, for the additions, plus the agenda acceptance, and seconder for that. Matthew, Mr. Mayor. Resolve that the agenda in the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved. All in favor? Approved. Okay. Deputy Chief, I get confused with all the titles that I have to put in front of your name, but certainly, it's your time to speak on the communications, and if you have any comments on all your titles, please share.
Yeah, but Brent's fine, whatever is easiest for everybody. We should move fairly quickly through this. It will not probably be
And
as
we're in
quickly.
transition with some of the stats, but I'll let you.
Yeah. So we'll go through kind of as we have in the past. The first one would be the financial reports, the board report. There's a 2-cent change on the account for interest. No real change there. Monthly overtime for February was $98,000, slightly up from previous year. Monthly overtime for staff shortage was $8,000, which is about on par from last year and down from the year prior to that. So that's positive for February for us. And unfortunately, the stats that we normally provide for crime stats, our analysts are doing the federal Stats Canada annual report, so we'll have a double stat report for next meeting. So
Absolutely.
there won't be any
Okay, good.
crime
Any
stats.
questions on that part? Like, we go through this scenario every year, and then the transition happens and the data is released more readily for all of our meetings. So, thank
Okay.
you.
So we'll be sure to have that prepared for next month. The IPV stats, final numbers are 963 follow-up calls since March 2024. So this would mark the 1-year anniversary of that program, that callback program that was initiated by Chief Stevenson. We had 42 new calls for service created out of that, 9 individuals were charged. So obviously those are 9 individuals that could have moved on and offended again. So we're happy to see that that is has a positive impact on our community.
I just want to say, Deputy Chief, since we instituted this program, certainly when I see the number 9 individuals are charged, imagine if we had all those victims and all those people that certainly would not have been a number on this page. So I'm really happy that that program is there and that we're checking and certainly having the results that we're having. So kudos to all of us.
Yeah, pass that along to the team. From a public complaints perspective, we received 4 new public complaints, 3 of which have already been closed out. We had 9 for 2025 so far. We're at 13 in 2024, so that's trending down so far this year, which is also good for us. We had 3 notes of appreciation. I won't read them unless you want me to. And just note that Officer Runkel has mentioned 2 of the comments. I'll give you some time to read through them. All very positive, and I think just kind of demonstrates what our officers are doing on the day-to-day out there, the community. Very good. And I think for me, that would be that's probably the shortest one you folks have ever had, which is great. Thank you all very much.
That was an easy.
Stats can. I'll leave this to I guess you know.
Okay. Thank you. And any questions or comments from the board members, Ian, please?
It's always good to see highlights of officers that have stepped above and beyond or really are appreciated. Is there a way, other than it going into their file, is there a way we record all of the compliments that we get, as well as we do with the concerns and the complaints?
So do we track them?
Yeah.
Lincoln might be able to answer that better than I can.
Yep, so a lot of those come in through the website. We try to post on social media to remind people that obviously there are positive interactions with our members, and please share those. And they do get added to their personnel file, and I believe a letter from.
And does it go into the officer's file as well?
Yes.
And
Pass down through their supervisor,
Okay, thank you.
and obviously with the new performance evaluations, it'll be commented on there as well.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Number 11, please, the OAPSB correspondence. That's just for your information. It's in the package. It's a nomination meeting. So if you have any questions, you can see the report. And
I've got a note on that, and it's mentioned in there, the annual Ontario Association of Police Services Board's meeting. Once a year, generally speaking, we send someone to that for 2 reasons. Number 1, if there's anything coming up in the demands from police unions and negotiations, that's where it comes up. And you get 2 views of that. You get one information saying, this is what's being sought by the various police departments, and this is how we're going to counteract some of the demands that they're going to make. But it's very, very informative. And I know we've talked about, getting costs down and keeping costs under control. But I think it would be a good idea if we send our chair along if he's available to take that meeting in. That's where we found out about 369, came back, reported it, and we spent $100,000 fighting a losing battle from the start, as far as I was concerned. But anyway, that's where you see these upcoming demands that are going to come from police services. And it's good to be able to come back and let the board know firsthand, this is where they're going, this is what they're seeking, and this is how they're counteracting it from the management point of view. So I would suggest that we send our chair, if he's available, to that meeting.
Thank you for that, but I'm gonna have to decline. I'm not available with regard to going to that. However, if someone else on the board would like to do that, and we're all in a consensus in doing that, why don't you, if we're all okay with having send someone, if they so desire, then I would say you can put your name in and then we can follow that up. Are we okay with sending one representative? Yeah, please, if you have any questions.
I think we should. I think we should.
I believe, the last, action taken by the board was a discretionary travel freeze, and I would prefer to stick to that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, then, we will not send anyone. Certainly we've sent, and all the things that you mentioned are very valuable, and, we have attended one of the conferences before earlier this year, so I feel that I can, coming to our next negotiations, there's some information that came out of those other ones that I've attended too. So I think if we skip one this year, it should be fine. So we'll move on from that. Number.
Mr. Chair? It's Nuala
Yes.
again.
Yeah, Nuala, please.
Thank you. Is it possible to attend that remotely?
I'd have to check into it, or I'll get Lisa to check into it. We certainly would take a look at that way, and if there's somebody interested then, we can look at that, absolutely. Yeah,
And just to support what you're asking there, Noah, and if there isn't, then we should definitely still ask for all the information that's recorded at that meeting to be forwarded on to us.
perfect, yeah,
So that we can review it, because I would hate to 3 or 4 months down the road, find out that we're coming up against a mountain that we're unprepared for.
good. So Lisa, if you could check that out and then report back, we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to suggest that if it's not possible to attend that remotely, maybe we can have this discussion again, please, because I see some real value in that conference. Thank you.
Absolutely. Then, yes, we can certainly correspond by phone as well. Seeing any more questions or comments? Number 12, recommendation to amend the taxi bylaw, vulnerable sector checks, presented by Dr. Dewey.
So I'll just lead Inspector Dewey in here before he starts. There's been ongoing kind of conversation over the taxi bylaw. We had some discussion, I think, at the last meeting with the former chief, some follow-up about the updating to the taxi bylaw. So this is just some of the recommendations. I think 2 years or 2.5 years ago, the discussion was that city bylaw would reach out to the city police and we'd come up with some of the recommendations and changes that need to be made. That hasn't happened yet. So these are just some of the changes we'd like to see put into the bylaw. And then we can certainly work with the city if once those changes need to be put in place. So that's more just an update of what we feel needs to be changed within the bylaw.
Very good, thank you.
Actually, thanks for having me. Just as a review from what the chief said, there was a resolution back in December 2021. The city and police would get together and make some revisions. We've had a few meetings about that. The current level of police record checks is police criminal record check. So that'll give anybody that's currently charged or currently has a criminal record. However, there are a couple of incidents that came to light, specifically one in Elliott Lake, where a 14-year-old was sexually assaulted by a cab driver. We had brought this forward in the past that a vulnerable sector check should probably be implemented for any taxi driver. What that'll do is look into the person's criminal record history. Anyone that's gotten a pardon, a sexual offense would come up in that. Now, if that person had an assault or an impaired driving, it still wouldn't come up in a vulnerable sector check, only sexually based offenses, which would protect, obviously, and taking that. We did a poll, and out of 24 services that applied, only 2 are not doing vulnerable sector checks. right now. There's some issues about the naming of the taxi bylaw that some consideration should be given to that to either personal transportation provider or vehicle for hire, include limousines, the Uber, things of that nature. So there's some semantics within the bylaw that need to be, I think, respectfully looked at. We can look at, as I believe was brought up in a previous meeting, looking into a pardon for any driver. So if you combine the pardon with vulnerable sector check, as far as getting a license, wouldn't advance that forward. There's issues considering when a driver is suspended. Currently, the police services board is notified and then has to make a recommendation afterwards, whether they stay suspended or they wait till the results of the criminal hearing. That all has to be hammered out if the bylaws is all the regulations are pushed over to the city or the bylaws looked at by the city. The fees haven't been looked at in quite some time. The bylaw currently says that'll be reviewed every 24 months. That hasn't been done for a bit. Right now with the taxi inspections and the meters have to be reviewed annually. That hasn't been done in quite some time either. So respectfully, there's some changes that have to be looked at. Legal obviously has to weigh in on that as far as what the changes go, how to implement those kinds of things. So respectfully, we submit that we should try to advance the city and the service getting together and moving us forward. The other side is currently the city gets the revenues from any of the applications, whereas police services doing the work. Anybody have any questions on that? That was pretty quick, kind of high level. I didn't want to get into the weeds too much about the whole thing.
Any questions or comments?
Just from the vulnerable sector check, that would be the first time application. You do the vulnerable sector check the first time. After that, it would just be a level 2 year to year. So you'd have to get it renewed. It just allows us to look into any pardoned cases. So,
Incorrect.
you wouldn't have to do a vulnerable sector check every year. It'd just be the one first time you apply. So.
Current drivers would all be grandfathered in,
Okay.
so that it would only be new drivers that would happen.
Any questions or, Nuala?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, is the city going to have carriage of this portfolio of taxis, or is it going to stay with police? I lost track of where it landed in terms of who's actually going to administer this, please.
My understanding from the resolution was that it was supposed to go to the city.
We were going to look at it and do some investigating with regard to where it was gonna land at the city, hopefully, if we can get all of these conditions and cleared up.
So that'll
So-
be a future amendment, I would think, yeah, that will say the staff responsible for administering this bylaw shall be bylaw or whomever at the city, right?
I would hope so, yes. Matt?
I wonder if it makes sense to, given that we are quite an outlier in the 24 services that you looked at, to amend the taxi bylaw, now, maybe not this meeting, but soon, to add a vulnerable sectors check, and then we still need to deal with the bigger issue, but perhaps we shouldn't wait on the bigger issue just for this vulnerable sectors check.
Yeah.
Vulnerable sector check.
Any comments or questions? I don't see a problem with that, but Archie, you're good?
We need a resolution put it forward.
Right.
Into the bylaw.
Okay, resolution, for the vulnerable.
Sector check to be added to the taxi bylaw. I would move that.
Okay. Lisa, you got all that? Maybe just. Ian, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm in favor of it.
Nola, you're good with that?
Thank you.
Lisa? You just all. Oh,
Resolved that the board approves the addition of the vulnerable sector check be added to first-time applicants for taxi.
Immediately.
Mover, Matt,
Second.
and seconder, Marchie, all in favor? Approved.
Aye.
Thank you, Nuala. Okay, and that we will work in our negotiations with the bigger picture. Take a look at where the services will be best looked at. Okay, good. Driver's seat.
I believe this is just a housekeeping, form. They're just looking to add, they're required in the bylaw to add any new vehicles they've added, and they'd look to add, 2 new vehicles. I think it's just more housekeeping if
Yeah,
I'm
2 to 4 drivers, all of that. Good. Any questions there? Pretty well self-explanatory in the report. Okay, mover. Ian, seconder. Sheet, resolve that the board approve the application of driver's seat to increase the vehicle fleet from 2 to 4 vehicles licensed as per section 3.3, 3.10, 4.4 of the bylaw 2011-161. All in favor? Approved. Okay, new business. Okay, and we've also, in new business, we are going to add the striking a committee and, conversation about you, Stevenson. Okay, let's deal with the striking of the committee. Certainly, Mr. Mayor, you can lead that with regard to, usually we either have, in case of a small board, you could have all 5. These are just the options I'm trying to lay out. 5 of us do the committee, and then we'll discuss details later, or 3 people. So I'll let you give me your rationale, and I'll go around the table and ask everybody else as well.
Yeah, I've been on hiring committees with both 5 and 3 people at City Hall. And I have found the 3 people committees to be easier to get together, more efficient in the delivery of the work in a reasonable time. So I think having the whole board also presents its challenges with and having to open the meetings and close the meetings like a regular board meeting, as opposed to reporting to the board through the subcommittee. So I think that's my preference would be a selection committee appointed of 3 members of the board that would go through the process and make recommendations to the board on whether or not to do this with the help of an outside agency or whether or not to do it, with our own skill set. Timeframes for the discussion and recruitment process, and then ultimately a recommendation to the board when that happens, when it gets to that point.
Okay, Margie?
Yeah. I think with my experience, and I was involved with the hiring of Chief Stevenson, we had a small committee. We did have an outside consultant, which ran us through properly, provided us all the applicants. I would like to see this a smaller group and hiring of a consultant to lead.
Okay, Nuala?
Thank you. My experience has been with consultants not very sunny, I guess I would say. From my work at the city, I found that if you were really flailing, it would be helpful to have a consultant. But with the amount of experience we have sitting around the table, and with the comments that I've been hearing since I've been lucky enough to serve on this board with regard to our budgeting, if we can possibly handle it in-house, that would be my preference. And given, I guess, the nature of this position, that it being such a high ranking and high profile position, that the sooner we get going on this, the sooner we will ensure that there's a lot of consistency and I guess faith from the community going our way. So I think my preference would be, I think we do have the expertise that could strike a suitable committee, and that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think the board is that large. There's only 5 of us, and I concur, new law. I think there's enough experience on the board that, and I too am not a great believer in outside consultants unless it's an absolute necessity. But I think there's enough, I think there's enough experience around the present board, and I think it should be open to the board. It's only 5 members. And I know the last one that I was involved in, it was the entire board that was involved in. I would go with the entire board rather than a 3-man committee or a 3-person committee.
I'm good with everything that's been said with regard to that. Certainly, I sat on the last one as well, and I've done several others at the school board as well. Yeah, preference with regard to outside, inside, I think we do have the expertise, so I don't see that an issue if we decide to go down that road. I just want to say, if we select the numbers, this might be done in 2 stages. I'm just thinking about the resolutions. If we need a resolution, that a committee of 3 people be struck or a committee of 5 people be struck. And then the selection of those committees can happen at a further conversation. If that, or that'll give us a little bit of time. Everything's moving quickly, so if we have some time to give everybody an opportunity to think about their experience and the matter of wanting to be on a 3 or 5. If we decide that it's 3, then 2 people will have to sit out. If we decide on 5, well, certainly that makes it a lot easier. Just comments or suggestions there, and I'll vote on the table.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor?
thanks, Chair. I'd be prepared to put forward the motion for a 3-person committee without the assistance of a outside consultant, unless for some reason a recommendation comes back in the future that it's needed if there's problems down the road. Personally, I think that the subcommittee should be struck so that it can start its meeting process. The next time we meet as a board is until April 30th, I think. So I'd prefer if between now and April 30th, the subcommittee can get together and arrange a schedule or timetable. So my preference is that we strike a 3-person committee, no use of an outside consultant, and that we put our names forward for that committee today.
March.
I'm for a 3-member committee, but I'm more of a consultant. I think they can gather qualified candidates. I think it's as transparent as can be, but I'll go with the majority.
Nuala?
I'm always in favor of smaller when it comes to meetings. It's just easier for coordination, and I think we've got a pretty good group and a diverse group. So my vote would go towards 3, please.
And making those selections today?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Ian?
Obviously, there's the 3 members of the board that are in favor of the 3-man committee. I was in favor of the 5 with no consultant.
Okay, so, Mr. Mayor, would you like to help us with the resolution?
Yeah, I think it
And then
would
if we
be,
disagree on any part of that, please speak up just so we can get it down right.
yeah, so I think it would be, given there's some divergence, why don't we start with a resolution to strike a 3-person committee as the selection committee for the chief of police.
Okay, Lisa, and because like I said, it might be 2 stages that we do that.
I think that's all you need. You don't need another resolution stating that it's going to be with no consultant. That's going to be up to the committee.
To the committee
Exactly.
ultimately.
We're getting ahead of ourselves there because, yes, for whatever reason that the committee would discuss.
So I think all we need is this
And then,
and which members are going to sit on it,
exactly,
and that's it.
right.
And then it's up to the committee to report back to us at next board meeting.
Right.
Resolved that the board approves to have a 3-person committee formed for the hiring of the position of chief of police.
Over. Mr. Mayor, seconder, Archie, all in favor? Viola, you're good?
Aye.
Approved.
41, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now, just to do this. You do it by submitting your name right now, and then Lisa can take a look at them and count those. If there's only 3, then it makes the job
The
easier.
chair is automatic, eh?
I think it should be.
So, and then just 2 other people.
Okay, so we can do that. Submit your name. If 2 people don't want to do it, then makes the job a little easier.
Yeah, or else you nominate. Say like I'll nominate Matt to sit on the committee.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that, but I was thinking if we do the voting, hand in your name, we can try that. If not, then we can go to nomination. Lisa will just tell us there's too many. So at that point, then we can nominate.
It would only be 1 round,
Right.
up to.
Yeah.
But that's what we do at council. With scraps of paper, simultaneous recorded votes. Well, except Newland doesn't have the opportunity to do that, so.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe give us all one ballot, please.
and what,
have a pen?
and put 2 names down on the ballot?
I
Well,
indicate if you're
if
interested.
we want.
Yeah, indicate it. Right, indicate that you want to be on it, and if the number add up to 3, including myself, the chair,
Why
two
don't,
spots.
why don't we just go around to see who's interested to sit on it?
Okay, well, I was trying to,
Yeah, that may
Yeah.
make it easier.
that would make it easier if you wish. Okay, I'll do that, no problem. Who would like their name to stand?
Yeah.
On the committee? So, I'll start with Matthew, Mr. Mayor. We have Ian. Nuala, do you have Nuala,
I'd like to sit. I was just putting my name forward. Thank you.
Nuala, and then myself. Okay, so the chair.
How do we do no less?
So,
Just have to ask.
okay, so then it's, Mr. Mayor, Ian, Marcy, did I ask you?
No, you didn't, but it's okay, don't worry about it.
Oh, no, I'm
No, I'm not interested.
not, okay,
There's already 3.
okay, so Marcy's on the side here. Okay, so, and we have a nominator for any of these 3 and a seconder, I guess.
I
Please.
think given that there's 4 out of 5 of us going,
I know.
we should probably simply rank our 3 votes.
Okay,
That seems to make the most sense.
okay, so then you just hand it in to Lisa, and Lisa will just take a look at it.
How many?
Yeah, so go ahead, Mr. Mayor, I haven't
3,
had,
but 1 is gonna be John Bruno, so
you're right, so
Yeah.
mine, yeah, so you almost take mine out.
I put John as number 1. 'cause
Okay, that's
He's
fine.
the top notch.
So, do we put 2 names down, or do we put 3 names, or
Either include John and put 3, or put 2 and don't include John.
just put 2? Okay,
That's
Yeah,
what I
probably
would think.
best to put 2 with John being the chair.
And we're not nominating at this point.
No,
But we write our own name as the voter, right?
right, okay, and then give it to Lisa, yeah.
Nuala,
You know
Yes.
what, can you text
you can email me.
or email Lisa or text myself?
I'll do that right now, Lisa.
Like myself. Yeah, that's a
Well,
check, yeah. Okay.
Can you let me know when you sent it, Nuala? Oh, got it.
I sent,
Yeah, got it.
Are you keeping the official tally?
Okay, so
Do you want me to
Lisa,
read?
you can come, yeah,
You wanna go out?
we can do that, or,
What do
yeah,
you wanna do?
yeah, let's probably, oh, just read them out, I guess.
Okay,
This is how we would do it.
Yeah, you have more
okay,
experience.
you gonna tally then, John?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
So yourself,
Okay,
Mayor Shoemaker. And Nuala,
mhm,
yourself, Mayor Shoemaker. And Nuala. Kenny. Yourself, Nuala Kenny, Ian McKenzie. Yourself, Mayor Shoemaker. And Ian McKenzie. How many was that?
did I do that
That
right?
was 4.
4. The last one is yourself, Nuala Kenny, and Mayor Shoemaker.
So the committee, I got this correctly, John Bruno, Mayor Shoemaker, and Nuala Kenny. Mr. Mayor,
That's
confirmed,
That was, yeah, seemed to be my count as well.
Yeah, that was my count too.
and, okay. Just a resolution to destroy the votes.
Resolved that the board elects Chair Bruno, Mayor Shoemaker, and Nuala Kenny to form the hiring committee for the position of chief of police.
Vote, that would be,
Yeah, I'll move it.
move it,
I'll move it. Yeah.
Marchie
I'll second it.
and Ian. Second. All in favor? Approved. Good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your advice in these committee votes. Appreciate it. Okay, so we have a committee, which is good, and we conversation regarding you, Stevenson. So who would like to begin?
Well, having sat through a few of them, I don't think that the Nuala, I don't think that now is the time, although there is an urgency. I would think that the chief's got his hands full for the next few weeks, and I don't think if we're going to express an evening or a dinner of appreciation, etc., I think it's something that can fit in shortly after the election, I guess, would be more appropriate. We'd have the time, and we would have the time to organize whatever it is that we're going to do.
I could, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
Is there, and I don't know who knows, interacting chief perhaps, do we give a parting gift or a certificate or a plaque or anything to people who retire?
Maybe I can answer that too, and please. Normally, if something is offered as a gift at some point, and I think the committee and the people, Sarah and Lisa and so on, who have been around the longest have indicated that to me in the past as well. And Ian, you've been on the board for a long time, and I'm sure that there were parting gifts that happened and dinners. So certainly we'll continue to act that way. I think nobody objects to that. We can do that, as Ian said, down the road. I think today, if we just want to give a little bit of gratitude and thank you to our chief that departed so quickly. So we have that opportunity now in this forum to do it, and then we can always do it again later on. If it's the wish of the board. Nuala, any comments or questions?
yeah, thank you. I would like the opportunity, I think, for us as a board, and like you said, some of the senior command that were reporting to the chief, and some of the administrators that were present at many of these meetings. It did come up so quickly. Yeah, I appreciate his plate is pretty full at the moment. However, it's a big job. It's a big public job. It's a big high profile job, and he's left it. And he left it really very, very suddenly. So I don't think it has to be, a 4-hour extravaganza. We could go for lunch. I think I think there should be a suitable and maybe a timeless kind of a gift, something engraved or a pen or something to show our appreciation. And to some extent, I feel an obligation to the community to close that chapter. So I'm wondering if we can't, if there's not an answer right now, is there? I mean, I've got questions. Maybe Lisa would know, or maybe even Angela would know from a finance perspective. But is there money earmarked for this type of thing? What's the general protocol? Because I think we should handle it in the manner in which we've handled all others. It shouldn't mark an exception from my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Sir, Marchie, go ahead.
I totally agree with Ian. If it's true that he's running for the Conservatives, I think we should wait for at least a month until the final results are in, and there's no stress and pressure put on him, and he doesn't lose a day campaigning, or an afternoon or an evening of campaigning. Let's wait until a month from now and bring it forward. That's all.
Okay.
I wouldn't want the board to get the impression that we were enhancing his political activities right in the middle of an election, and the board's having a farewell party, etc. for him. So I don't see anything wrong with what Marcy said. I don't see anything wrong with wait till after the election and do what we have to do. Then,
Mr. Mayor.
I think there should be a recognition. Not convinced that it should be now or in the future. Beyond that, I think it's unwise of us to comment on anything during the campaign, so that there's no appearance of political impropriety. And if we do honor the chief at some future time, that'll be the appropriate time to say some remarks about him.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that. We'll figure something out. We've heard everybody, so we'll find the right venue and right gift and all of those things, and maybe before we do anything, we'll come back to the board, and we have some time, so that it's not like it's tomorrow or the next day. We have some time to figure things out and do the most appropriate thing. And certainly I echo all the sentiments that have been said as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Nuala. I really appreciate it. I think we'll move in those directions and inform the board as we go along. Thank you. I think that's all for new business. Our next meeting is April 30th, 2025. We are going into an in-camera session right after this, so we thank everybody for coming. Media, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Nuala,
I need a mover. I need a mover to adjourn. It is 1:50.
Hang on, we don't close open,
Okay,
John,
okay, so we're just moving
because
over.
we're gonna have to go back into
Yes,
open
we'll
up.
come back, yeah. Okay,
Nuala,
thank you.
are you still there?
We'll take a 2-minute break. Confidential financial and legal matters and labor relations matters in accordance with Section 44(2) of the Community Safety and Policing Act. All in favor? Oh, I need a mover first, right? Mover, Mr. Mayor, Marchie, seconder, all in favor? Approved. Next meeting is the 30th, and
Did you call me, Matt, about?
thank you very much.
It was an accident.